Joseph Haydn was born in 1732 in a small town called Rohrau in Austria. His family was not rich, and they did not have many resources. However, from a young age, Joseph loved music. He started learning to play the harp and later the violin. He was very talented, and his family soon realized that he had a special gift for music. When he was just 6 years old, he moved to the city of Hamburg to study music with a local teacher. Haydn's early life was difficult because his family was poor. Despite the challenges, he worked hard and became a skilled musician. At the age of 8, he was accepted into the St. Stephen's Cathedral Choir in Vienna. This was an important step for Haydn, because it allowed him to continue his music studies in the big city. He spent many years in Vienna, learning about music and becoming an expert musician. In his teenage years, Haydn had to leave the choir due to some family problems. He then became an independent musician and composer, taking on various jobs to support himself. In 1759, Haydn was offered a job by a noble family, the Esterhazy family. This family was very rich, and they had a large palace where they held many musical events. Haydn worked for the Esterhazy family for much of his life, and they were very important in his career. He composed many pieces of music for their private performances and played the music for the family. Haydn was a very hard worker, and he composed over 100 symphonies during his career. Many of these symphonies are still famous today. His music was known for being joyful, energetic, and full of life. He loved to experiment with different sounds and structures in his music, and his work helped to shape classical music in Europe. Haydn's symphonies were often written for a large orchestra with many different instruments. This gave his music a rich, full sound that people loved. In addition to symphonies, Haydn also wrote many string quartets, which were smaller pieces for just a few musicians. He was especially skilled at writing music for string instruments like the violin, cello, and viola. In fact, Haydn is often called the father of the string quartet, because he helped to develop this form of music. He wrote many string quartets that are still studied and performed by musicians today. Haydn also wrote a lot of music for the church. He composed many masses or religious songs for the Catholic Church. His most famous work in this area is The Creation, a large oratorio that tells the story of the creation of the world. The Creation is one of Haydn's most popular and important works. It was performed in 1798, and it is still performed by choirs and orchestras around the world. The work is known for its beautiful melodies and its dramatic story. Haydn's music was very popular in his time, and he was highly respected by other composers. Many musicians and composers looked up to him and admired his work. Even composers like Mozart and Beethoven were influenced by Haydn's music. Haydn and Mozart were friends, and they often met to talk about music. They both lived in Vienna during the same time, and they enjoyed each other's company. Beethoven also learned from Haydn when he was a young musician. Beethoven studied with Haydn for a short time, but they had different ideas about music. Despite this, Beethoven always respected Haydn's talent and music. Haydn was a great teacher and mentor to many musicians, and his influence on classical music is still seen today. His music was not only beautiful, but it also showed new ideas about how music could be written and performed. For example, he often used surprise in his music, making the listeners feel excited and interested. This sense of surprise is one of the reasons his music is still so popular today. Haydn's music was also known for its balance and clarity. He used simple but effective melodies that people could easily understand. At the same time, he also made sure that his music had a deep emotional impact. Haydn's music was not just about entertainment. It also made people think and feel deeply. As he got older, Haydn's music became more complex. He experimented with new ideas, creating more dramatic and emotional works. One of his most famous later works is the London Symphonies, a series of 12 symphonies that he composed during visits to London. These symphonies are considered some of his best works. They are full of energy and invention, and they show Haydn's growing mastery of orchestral music. Haydn spent much of his life working for the Esterhazy family, but as he got older, he became more independent. In his later years, Haydn spent time traveling and giving concerts in different cities. He became very famous, and many people wanted to hear his music. Despite his success, Haydn remained humble and focused on his work. He was never interested in fame or money. He simply wanted to create music that would bring joy to the world. In 1809, Haydn passed away at the age of 77. His death marked the end of an era in classical music. Haydn's music, however, continues to be loved and admired by people all over the world. His compositions are still performed by orchestras, choirs, and chamber groups. Many people continue to study his music, and his influence can be heard in the works of later composers like Beethoven and Brahms. Haydn's life was not easy, but he worked hard and achieved great things. He is remembered as one of the most important composers in history. His music changed the world of classical music, and continues to inspire musicians today. Joseph Haydn's legacy lives on in the beautiful music he created, and his contributions to the world of music will never be forgotten.